What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Monday Night Raw review. This one is a 2-for-1 special, if you can believe it. We are back, and the reason why that is, it's because the first episode of 1996 was actually dubbed as the Raw Bowl, and they were trying to piggyback off the college football bowl games that happened around this time. And so the Raw Bowl was just a random title given to this episode of Raw to make it seem like a bigger deal than it was. But as you will see in this review, this show wasn't all that spectacular to begin with. So, before we get started, let me just get a couple of things out of the way. We were gone for a little bit. Now we're back. And on the screen, you should be seeing the power rankings for the year of 1995, or at least the end of 1995. So, take a look at that. Tell me if I missed anybody, if somebody was ranked too high, or if they were ranked too low. Just sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. So with that, let's get into these reviews. The first one we're going to get into is January 1st, 1996. So the Raw Bowl was a four-way tag match. The Smoking Guns, Owen and Yokozuna, Racer and Savio, and Psycho Sid and the 123 Kid. It was eventually won by the Smoking Guns. After some help from Razor, Billy was able to roll up Psycho Sid. There you go. The Smoking Guns win and keep some momentum, I guess. Now, the reason why I didn't go too in depth on that is because none of it really matters. I wouldn't even know what you could say about this match. I mean, these four teams are kind of involved with each other because Racer, Savio, the Kid, they're entangled in something, and Owen and Yokozuna are going after the titles, I guess. You couldn't pay me to tell you what's going on and why this whole show was built around this. Anyways, yeah, so that does it for that match. I mean, like I said, it wasn't really much to go into. I believe it was an elimination, but at the end, the Smoking Guns get the win. So, yeah, like I said, they get momentum for what? Who knows? So, they also showed the replay from the last In Your House where it was Helmsley versus Henry Godwin in the hog pen match. You're going to have to pay me if you expected me to watch this for a second time. I'm not doing that. But yeah, they showed the match from the pay per view on this episode of Raw. And the last match of the show was Diesel versus Mabel. And Diesel wastes no time, hits a big boot, and wins the match in under 30 seconds. He hits the jackknife on Mo and continues his path of destruction after losing the WWF belt. He also goes to commentary and steals Jerry Lawler's guest, who was Miss Rawbo. By the looks of it, it looks like Diesel's gonna take his anger out in another type of way. Backstage, Steve Lombardi, aka the Brooklyn Brawler, presents the Lombardi Trophy to the Smoking Guns. They shit on the gift, beat him down, and basically waterboard him by emptying a cooler of sweet tea on him. He was just trying to congratulate them, and they assaulted this man, expecting the Brawler to hire Clarence Mason to press charges on these guys for attempted manslaughter. I mean, it is wrestling, so if you're not trying to kill somebody on the show, are you actually a wrestler? But then, as the show was coming to an end, we see a video for Vader, as he will be coming to the WWF, and most likely for the Royal Rumble, that's when they're going to be saving him. What the fuck? Like, they just introduced Vader as a matter of fact. No build or even hype after they show the video. It's just another day at the office for them. But I'm looking forward to see Vader in the WWF. I know that he had at least one great match in 1996 that we're going to cover against a certain Heartbreak Kid, but we'll get to that when we get there. And then finally, we have the War Room with Billionaire Ted, the Huckster, and the Nacho Man. Stay tuned for the end of the video. I'll play the audio from this segment, but talk about letting the competition get into your head. A whole production into making fun of WCW, Hogan, Randy Savage, Ted Turner. But hey, that's one of the greatest things from wrestling, right? The fact that when you watch one company, the other company doesn't exist at all. So when they do mention them, it actually gets a pop from you no matter what, even if it's a cheap shot. But yeah, this episode's gonna get a bad grade. So moving on to the January 8th, 1996 edition of Monday Night Raw. I don't know if this happened before this episode, but we have a different intro with the original Raw theme song from the first episode, the one with the sirens. So yeah, they brought that back. First match on the show, we have Jeff Jarrett versus Hakushi. Okay, on paper this should be a good match. Let's see how it plays out. Hakushi gets about 3 different comeback moments, but he takes too many high risks that allow Jarrett to keep control. He slaps on the figure four after getting the knees up on a springboard splash, and he gets the win. So that does it there for them. But next up, we have the Royal Rumble report with Jim Ross and special guest Scheme Gene, parodying Mean Gene, who is on WCW. He's always shilling the hotline that you would call and had to pay to get info about whatever was going on at the time, either backstage feuds, backstage storylines, stuff like that. So nobody is safe in WCW. If you work for Vince and you went over there, you're gonna get made fun of. Then we have an enhancement talent for Ahmed Johnson. I usually skip these jobber matches, but I left it playing, and I gotta say, If you were a jobber coming in to wrestle Ahmed, you better have had good health insurance because he's got to be the most dangerous wrestler I've seen. All the power moves he has, looks like he's going to drop his opponent on their neck. He picks up the win with a Tiger Driver. Jarrett tries to come out and nail him with the guitar, but misses, and Johnson takes the guitar and breaks it on the ring post. So, Jarrett and Ahmed Johnson continuing their feud, or is this the start of it? I don't remember. It's been so long. Oh no, yeah, right, because they got into it at the last In Your House. Yeah, so Jarrett and Ahmed Johnson continuing their feud here from In Your House. Next up, we have Brother Love with Ted DiBiase. They introduce us to the new $1 million champion, the Ringmaster, aka Steve Austin. All right, here we go. The WWF will never be the same again with Austin making his debut. They don't know it yet. The crowd doesn't know it. Nobody knows it. But this is the guy right here that's going to take us to the promised land. Not a great promo here, but did what was needed for his debut. Steve Austin, that is. Austin was in WCW but got fired, and he went over to ECW for a couple of months, cutting some great promos and teasing a match against Sandman for the world title over there. In WCW, I don't remember him doing much after losing the belt that he had. I want to say he lost the US title to Jim Duggan back in '94, but that's all in the past. I think this Ringmaster guy will have a bright future in the WWF. Then we have Aldo Montoya versus Goldust. Short match, Goldust picks up the win. I believe he won with what's called an inverted DDT. Anyways, that's it for that. Next, we have footage from a press conference where Shawn Michaels announces that he will be back in the Royal Rumble. Interested to see the reaction he gets for his return from the fans. Again, I don't think majority of people are Shawn fans because it's the 90s and because of how flamboyant he is. I mean, we all know he's great, but 90s WWF fans aren't there yet. We do get some words from Diesel, Razor Ramon, and Owen Hart giving us their thoughts on Shawn returning. Diesel wishes him luck, but it's every man for themselves in the Rumble. Razor says it's too soon, but thinks he will win the Rumble. Shawn, that is. I'm guessing Razor isn't in the Rumble match, because why would he say that somebody else is winning it? And Owen Hart basically says that he will take him out again if he gets in his way. Then they show us the match from In Your House between Bret Hart versus British Bulldog. I gotta know what WCW was doing during this because why would they show us a free pay per view match? Last week, the main event for WCW was Hogan versus Flair, and Raw didn't even try to put up a fight with the Raw Bowl. But this week, who knows? I'm gonna take a break from WCW for a little bit. I'll get into it some other episode. And then Undertaker says a couple of words about facing Bret at the Rumble pay per view. This is Taker's first WWF title shot in a long time. He's been out of the title picture since I believe Rumble 1994, where he lost the casket match to Yokozuna. As for the main event on WCW, it was Hogan and Savage versus Flair and Anderson, with their show Nitro ending like it's been ending since about September, where the Dungeon of Doom and the Giant brawl with Hogan and Savage and whoever they're teaming with at the time. So if you think about it, both shows ending with replays. I was gonna try to keep up with WCW Nitro. I know that I've said this before on other videos, but I think I'm gonna take a break on watching them because, like I said, they just keep doing the same thing. It's like Hogan, Savage, Sting, taking on the Dungeon of Doom every single week, and like Flair and the Four Horsemen are just like somewhere around there. But it's always Hogan and Savage and Sting, I guess, with the Dungeon of Doom, which Lex Luger had kind of joined them, but he's not really in it. So I don't know because he's friends with Sting. Enough of that. But yeah, that's it for the show. We get another war room with Billionaire Ted, where they try to come up with a tagline for their show. They decide on where the big boys play because they don't have to worry about being tested for steroids in WCW. So it is literally where the big boys play. So that does it for this double review. I would say the only good thing from this episode was a Ringmaster debuting, but it's more for what he ends up becoming. So it's not really what he did on this episode. If you watched at the time, probably seeing Bret versus Bulldog match would have gotten your attention, seeing as you either had to order the pay per view or you just never saw it until it came out on VHS. So getting a free pay per view match on TV was good, but not for me. As good as that match was, I didn't want to see it over again in such a short time. So the show is going to get a bad grade. That's already two bad shows, and we just started the year. Maybe 1996 wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. We're just getting started though. So we're going to see what they do getting closer to the Royal Rumble and on the road to WrestleMania 12. And this is where the uncut, uncooked, and uncensored boys play. Wait a minute, hold on, that didn't come out right. Fuck it, you know what? I'm out of here before they send the FBI for that comment. Catch you guys on the next review.
All right, listen, man. We need more action from our stars. I want them to pull out all the stops.
Okay, boss. We have some suggestions. As you can see, this first maneuver is extremely impressive.
You think you can pull it off, Huckster?
No way, brother.
Okay, that's a tough one. Nacho, how about this maneuver?
No way, never!
What about the jackknife?
Ain't done it in my entire career, and I ain't about to try it now.
How about climbing the ropes and performing some aerial tasks?
Brother, at my age, my feet don't leave the ground.
Well, tell us, what can you boys do?
You can't teach old dogs new tricks,